everyone, welcome back to KHQ. Got a little job to do in the garden today. I need to pot on some of my tomato plants and my pepper plants because they're getting slightly too big for the pots that they're currently in. So what is potting on? It is exactly what it means, moving it on to another pot, usually a slightly bigger pot. And you can do this in stages. Now when I started the seedlings, I used a little propagator tray like this. So a nifty little thing. It's got sort of 12 modules inside of it. You fill up with some nice potting compost in there, level it off, pop your seeds in, pop this little lid on, and pop that in your grow house or your greenhouse. Now this helps maintain moisture and some heat in there when the seeds are trying to germinate. And you've got a little selector to open or close these holes. And generally when the seedlings start coming through, you'll open up the holes slightly, maybe then fully, and then take the lid off. Now, when they've outgrown this, which usually is probably about when the first true leaves start to appear, then I want to pop them into maybe something like this sort of size. It's probably like a little 3-inch pot. These usually, when you buy something from the garden centre, like some small tomato plants, chili plants, even some lots of flowers, they'll have these seedlings already in these sort of size pots. Now these are great because they're slightly established. You don't have to worry about the seeding process and the germination process. You can just buy these little plants in these pots, pot them on again, and then maybe put them in your garden or into your greenhouse. But if you go from that, could go to this, probably wouldn't bother from that size. You might want to go on to something like this, which is sort of more of about an 8-inch pot. So I've got a couple chili plants in these at the moment, and they'll probably stay in these because probably about the right size for the plant that it's going to grow to. But I do have some tomato plants which are in these at the moment, and you'll see in a minute they're pretty big. In actual fact, too big really to pot on. There's danger of them breaking, especially with the breeze that we've got outside today. Now, your final pot maybe for something like a tomato plant or a pepper plant would be something around this size. About £6 I think these are, maybe slightly less, maybe about 4 from some places, and then just a little saucer on the bottom. Why the saucer? Because I'm going to pop my tomato plant in its final pot here and put the saucer underneath, because I'm going to bottom water. And bottom watering will make your roots kind of draw down. It will try and seek out that water, so you get a nice healthy root system. You're also less likely to get root rot, splash back as well from watering onto the compost and going onto the leaves and causing things like fungal growth and diseases. So let's go and have a look in the greenhouse and see what we need to pot up. Okay, so here is our little greenhouse, and here we have some of the plants I need to pot on. So we've got a tomato plant on the left, a tomato plant on the right, and then a pepper plant, a bell pepper plant in the middle. Like I said, these are a little bit big to pot on, to be honest, and like you can see, it's a little bit windy today. We've also got some other pepper plants here and some Scotch bonnet chili plants, and next to those some bird-eyed chili plants, which are not really coming along very well, the bird eyes, but the others are ready to move on. So let's see what happens. Okay, let's do some potting on. So we have got a final pot here for one of our tomato plants. Some peat-free compost, some Miracle Grow. Doesn't really matter, like I said before, what you use, but as long as it's a good quality compost. We've got our saucer as well. So, slight little hack I'm going to do here. This is the same size pot as what my tomato plant is currently in. I'm going to fill this up with some compost, push this in to about the right size, or to the right depth, I should say, and then we're going to put the other compost in around it and pull this out. And that makes it easy for transplanting our tomato plant in one of these pots into the space. It saves a lot of hassle that way. So start getting some compost in here. So it's in like this. Let's try and break it up a little bit. A bit more. Let's check the see. Now we want this to be about level with the top of this pot, so a little bit more. So it's about right. So now we'll just add the potting compost around this other pot, also in the pot slightly. Just keep filling it up. Until I get all the sides filled in. Now I would probably, if I was you, not do this on your gravel, because you're going to end up with loads of potting compost embedded in your gravel like I'm ending up with here. So maybe put a plastic sheet down, or if you've got a potting shed, that'd be great. So put this in a bit more. Take out the big twigs, we don't really want those. Push this down a little bit. And I'll just keep going a little bit more. So that's probably enough for the next step. The next step, I'm a little nervous about. Yeah, it's all good. So the tomato plant in question, a little bit worrying because he's this big and it's relatively windy today. So I'm going to keep that stake in there during this process. I think I might even leave it in after we've potted it on. So let's remove a similar size pot and pick this one up. So I usually put my hand over the bottom or over the top of the soil, nicely support it, flip it up, slightly squeeze it, and then we'll drop it into the next pot. So give yourself a little bit of room with this. A little squeeze. Now I can see there's roots coming through. That's a good sign. Remove that and drop it in. Oh, that was pretty scary. Ultimately pretty successful. Is it straight? Straight enough for me. More potting compost. Oh, it's very wobbly in this wind. I don't like it. But I would call that a success. You just push it down a little bit to keep it firmly in the pot. Ooh, there we go. Watch out for that wind. I need to get a bigger stake in there pretty quick. So that's just leaving enough space on the top for watering. Now I'm going to pause this video and find a bigger stake pretty quickly. Catch you in a minute. Okay, that's probably the fastest I've ever had to find a stake. So what we're going to do is we don't want to get the roots, because we've already got one on that side and it's tending to lean that way. I'm going to push this in just outside of the root system, which is just outside that circular piece of the bottom of that pot. Let's push this in and hope for the best. Okay, that's not very straight. Better. So firm that up. I'm pretty happy with that. Tie it up. Okay, so we've got our garden twine pair of gardening scissors. You can use any scissors, really. So now I'm going to take this and tie it about just over halfway up. What I tend to do is just put the twine around, and when you're tying, bring it in gently to it's virtually parallel with the cane or the stake, and I do the tying bit against the stake. That way I'm not going to slip, potentially damage the stalk of the tomato plant. Cut off the excess, and we're done. So that's potting up, the scary version. So this now will go into one of these grow houses, or potentially back into that greenhouse, and hopefully get some nice fruits. One vital thing to do after potting on, give them a good drink, because they're going to get a little bit of shock. Okay, so what are we hoping for after potting on? We're hoping the plant's going to grow bigger. It's going to get more roots, have a bigger root system, more foliage, some flowers, and then ultimately fruit, or tomatoes in this case. Now I've planted on or potted on some tomato plants about 3 weeks ago. They're coming on really well. I'm going to show you those in a minute. I'll tell you which ones are which. And hopefully this little chap next to me here is going to grow just as big and produce some nice fruit. Over in our left tomato grow house, we do have some more tomato plants, like I said. So in the middle, let's zoom out a little bit, we've got Gardener's Delight, and the two to the left and right, they are Sakura. Now this is now pretty much maxing out the top of the grow house. We will ultimately have to top those soon to stop them growing, but this is what we're hoping for with the other little guy we just did. Right, found that useful, and good luck with your potting on, and I'll see you next time on KHQ. Please don't forget, like, share and subscribe, and don't forget also to hit that notification bell. Bye for now.